are back with another episode of the Daily Deuce. I am not Gary Graves. So for today, my name is Dante Webster. I will be joining as a guest host, and I'm here with.
Hey, how's everybody doing? Hey, I'm John Webster. Dante, it's great to have you here today. I know Gary is away on assignment this week with the National Association of Black Journalists Convention. Quite sure he's having a great time there, Gary. Go ahead and do your thing out there with that convention. But Dante, we got some sports to talk about, man. As always, I'm excited. First and foremost, it's great to have you here today.
All right, thank you for inviting me to join you today. I always welcome the opportunity to, discuss sports with you. I was trying to find some clever way to say it. Nothing really came in my mind in that first second. So yeah, no, always happy to sit here and talk with you.
All right, man. Well, go ahead, man. Let's get started, man. There's some stuff going on. So where are we gonna start with?
Well, there's stuff going on right now. We have the biggest sporting event in the world every 4 years, the Olympics. It's here. I mean, did you watch the opening ceremony?
I missed the opening ceremony. I heard it was very, very good. LeBron James and Coco Golf both brought in the flag or the torch, one or the other. I mean, I'm probably a
Flag,
little bit confused
flag.
there.
Wait,
I'm
keep it.
probably doing better than what you thought I would do on opening ceremony, to probably be honest with you.
You're doing right about honestly what I thought you would, because that was literally just the headline piece, which was the two of them brought in those flags. So I mean, I just thought I'd throw you for a loop and see if you watched that. I know that's the one piece you literally do not care to watch at all, which is the only reason that I threw that in there for you. I'm like, "Oh, I wonder if he actually watched that." It was just a bunch of athletes in boats waving. It's very interesting, I guess. Learned some countries that I didn't know about, or learned some flags that I hadn't seen. Combination of both, honestly. You watch the Olympics, I feel like every year you see a country, you're like, oh, didn't even know about them. You didn't, or you just never thought about them because you never see a lot of these countries outside of the Olympics. Usually for better, because if you see them on the news, sometimes it's for worse. So usually for better. So yeah, but we have the Olympic Games going on. And of course, we're going to talk about a little bit of basketball. Unless you want to discuss the riveting sport that is handball, I imagine that you probably have that in Tacoma Park somewhere. But I was watching a little bit of that on Saturday, and I must say it was physical and gritty. I actually enjoyed that game. I don't know enough to talk about it myself. Just wanted to make sure I give them a salute. But we'll just go ahead and get started with basketball. We have Team USA getting started. They are one of the, I think it's 12 teams that are competing in the Olympics for basketball. They are in a group with Serbia, South Sudan, and Puerto Rico. As of this recording, they are 1-0. They beat Serbia, which was supposed to be their second best team in their group. Serbia has Nikola Jokic, amongst other NBA players, and just good Serbian players as well. So we're one game into Team USA. The big headline is for a guy like you that cheers on the Celtics. Jason Tatum did not play in that first game. How you feeling about Team USA men's basketball?
Like I said with Gary, on paper, they are very good. On paper, they still have to go out and prove it. They have to execute each game. Serbia was a game where they took advantage of a lot of things on Serbia. They beat them, put pressure on them, got the ball where the ball needed to be. LeBron James, probably the best player on the court that day. I mean, almost had a triple double, played well. Now, the one thing I will also add, there's been some discussion about a couple players not getting into the game, Halliburton and Tatum.
Well, we knew Halliburton wasn't going to play.
Well, this
No,
is
no,
what
for
I'll
him. No offense
this
to
is
him.
this is what I'll say. And I can relate it back to you because this is one of the times I had the absolute pleasure of having you on my team for many years and coaching you. Absolute joy. But one of the things that pissed you off more than anything, everybody was going to play, especially in a game where you're blowing somebody out. So my thing on that is there's no reason why Halliburton and Tatum could not get in the game at the end. There's no reason for that whatsoever, in my opinion. You're up by 20, 26. The game is over in the last 2 minutes. You've already not played them. For whatever reason, you have not played them. I'm not going to get into why you didn't play them or did not play them. Not getting into that. But what I will get into, they could have played at the end. And I know, like I said, having you and you used to drive you crazy. We'd be up by 25. I like, Dante, you're not playing the second half. You're sitting down. And the kids that did not get a chance to play, what did I do with them, Dante?
You let them play in that game. I
And
get that.
and and that's what should have happened. Okay, if you don't think Tatum is good enough or Halliburton's good enough to make your rotation during the game when it's on the line, that's your call as a coach. I don't have anything to do with it. That's your decision. But at the end of the game and you're up by 26, those two kids, I'm sorry, those two men, Halliburton and Tatum, they both could have been in the game. No reason for them not to be in the game.
So I hadn't thought about it from the perspective that you said in terms of like, oh yeah, it's a blowout. When it's a blowout, generally speaking, everybody should play. Now, I guess I'm also thinking about it from the perspective of now, if I was a team owner and it was like, you have 26 points and you threw my really good player out there and he got hurt in that last 2 minutes when the game meant nothing, I'd be so upset. So if I was a team owner, I'd probably be happy that my guys didn't play just because it removes the chance of injury. But generally speaking, otherwise, I do agree with the component of, they should be able to play because even though like your point differential does matter because I think that's one of the tiebreakers that they would use, they weren't going to kill that lead at that point. And I mean, those
No,
are guys that you would have to worry about that with, not like they're, jacking it up or going to make a bunch of bad decisions because when I started watching the fourth quarter of that game, Anthony Edwards did his darndest to just sit around and have about as many turnovers and just throw away possession. Not that he's a bad player any type of way, but he made one shot where it was like, oh, he probably shouldn't have made that. Confidence went straight to his head. He took about three or four after that and just started making some just helter-skelter choices that he probably shouldn't have made. Not saying it was on him, but you see those type of things. So I definitely think, yes, they were the type of players that could have played within those moments, and it was kind of an opportunity that went by. For Halliburton, I mean, like I said earlier, I think it's understood that he probably isn't going to play. Just generally speaking, young guy on the team, you always need like an NBA player that's good, young, just probably be there. And he showed what he could play in, I think, the Team USA tournament that they had last year. Yeah, I think it was last year when they had the basketball tournament that he played in. So he's capable of playing on that global stage, but the Olympics just may not be for him. Tatum, it looks like that's going to be matchup dependent because, Kerr's already saying, all right, next game I'll probably play him, and maybe it'll end up being Bam that may not play as much against South Sudan because we got to remember, he's the same South Sudanese that took the U.S. to their limit just about a week or two ago and played them in an extremely close game that no one thought had any business being as close as it should be. So, I
you
think
see, I would Adebayo would still be in my rotation. Tatum would be in my rotation. Honestly, you know who will not be in my rotation for that game?
Joel Embiid,
Yep.
that's a whole other
Yep.
thing right there. He's not a bad player. The fit on what they do for their team just doesn't work. It,
He's not a bad player, but he's not my kind of aircraft carrier. And I know the game has changed, but definitely in this game against Sudan, the way they're playing is not going to fit what he. I'm not going to say I would not play him at all, but I would play him in limited minutes. But I definitely need Adebayo out there. I definitely need Tatum out there. If you think back to a week ago in the exhibition game, they were down at 14. Who were the ones in the game when they came back? Tatum, Adebayo, Davis.
and I agree with that. I absolutely see that. And I think the thing with Embiid is it's a pride thing because you want to be out there starting. He'd be much better served as like the focal point of a second unit where you could just filter your touches through him, let him be the guy. He can make those. And the same thing that he does in the NBA. With the starting five that you have out there, you need a Davis out there who just knows his role, which is okay, I'm gonna go up here, I'm gonna clean up shots, I'm gonna catch in the post, I'm gonna get easy dunks, and I'm gonna play defense.
But see, the problem I think with Embiid, Embiid is a very good player, but players play based upon styles that fit them. I'm not sure this style fits him. This is a Steve Kerr motion type of thing. And
Mhm.
I just don't think, and I'm not, this is no knock against Embiid's game. I just don't think the style of play that Kerr has them playing is the best situation to take advantage of what Joel Embiid does best.
No, I get what you're saying, and that was also why I said I'll put someone like that in my second unit because with my second unit, maybe I do just let them just play through him. We'll do it differently. If he's out there with the starters, we'll try him with some motion stuff. But if it's just him and like, four other guys that ain't starting, all right, we're just gonna run the offense through him and, we can just do it that way. I think it's like you have to, he's bringing his philosophy, which works to an extent. We'll see how it works when you don't have two of the greatest shooters of all time out there to help you with the spacing. I mean, you have one, but it is very interesting to see how that style translates everybody when you don't have the same personnel or the same buy-in that you'd have in a Golden State. So I definitely do understand what you're saying. I know that we said we discussed the women. I mean, you see, the men at least maybe they'll be challenged. I think the women will run roughshod through their competition and just get a gold medal. They played the Japanese women's team, blew them out. Japanese women's team apparently had no size. They had no answer for Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart. They just went out. They just went off on them. Now, the only thing that becomes like the news story, if you want to speak on it, the U.S. women's team, I think, had the lowest attendance of the day in terms of basketball. So now everybody's saying that a certain player that, plays for the Indiana Fever maybe should have been on their roster to help bring in some additional eyes and, just get a little bit extra attention on that game. And this is not to take anything away from their players. They have the best players in WNBA. They are phenomenal players. That's literally, I guess, the only story that you can make something out of because otherwise there has to be competition for them in order to be a story. And it's yes, I guess technically it is a knock on the other women in the world. When it comes to women's basketball, it's like it's like what the Dream Team used to be in like '92. Well, like that first iteration where it's like, all right, we're just gonna go out here and just destroy everyone. With the women's USA team, it's kind of still that.
Well, they are a very good team. They're well put together with Asia Wilson, Brianna Stewart, Tarasi. Yeah, Tarasi's on that team, if I'm not
It's Rockets
mistaken.
still going, still going.
They're really tough. I don't think they will be beaten this year. I think they take home the gold undefeated again. Um, the discussion about the individual with the Indiana Fever, you can have the same discussion, honestly, about the young lady playing for the Chicago Sky.
Not taking anything away from her either. My
Yeah,
apologies.
they both, in the future will have an opportunity, I think, to be on the team. Now, the question comes up if one of them or both of them were there, would the ratings be better? Okay.
I'm just
It's
talking,
not,
I'm talking
it's,
just attendance, just to make sure I said just attendance in terms of the stadium. I wasn't even going to go crazy. It was just literal attendance.
yeah, tomatoes, tomatoes. I know people say I'm trying to avoid answering the question, but their time is going to come in the future, in the very near future. If you had a chance to watch the All Star game between the Team USA, and the WNBA All Stars, oh, it was great to watch Caitlin Clark at the point, and you had on the wing Angel Reese. Oh, it was great. It was really great, and I think in years to come, we are going to be treated to quite an experience of having both of them represent our country.
Yes, and I think that is something that we have to look forward to. And like you said, it's something that'll come in these years. And for the women's team, it's hard. It's hard to like get a crack at that in your first year. So it's not surprising that either of them were left off. That is a tough roster. They have, I think it was like the leading scorer in WNBA was left off. I can't remember what her name is right now.
I call her Miss Notre Dame 'cause I can never say her name right. She had 21 in the third quarter last week against
Yeah,
the
yes,
yeah, she can play. She's tough.
yeah. So it's not an easy roster to crack.
Yeah, it is not. It's not. Absolutely not.
Well, I know we were talking about the future, but we got to talk about the present. And when it comes to the present, that is the trade deadline for the MLB. And so that has passed. As of 6 p.m., the trade deadline has passed. So we saw some moves go down. We saw a few things happen. We're of course going to get your Orioles update. I think from my understanding, I had to basically do a crash course on baseball day to make sure that I understood exactly what was going on here. Not that I don't watch, but just had to make sure I got this. I think you all should just essentially, we could talk about what your Orioles got or didn't get. I think at this point, you're probably just happy that the Yankees didn't end up with Jack Flaherty and that he went to he went to the other side. He went to the NL, went to the Dodgers. I saw that was pretty big. I saw that was a pretty big prize to get in terms of starting pitchers, and the Yankees were in that sweepstakes, but they lost out to the Dodgers. I don't even know where the Dodgers find assets at this point.
Dodgers have a very strong farm system still. So they got Flaherty. The interesting thing is going to be they have Flaherty, Clayton Kershaw, Glass now, and I can't remember who else. They have a strong
And
starting
they'll
rotation.
have Otani back in their rotation next year.
Yeah, 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 uh, uh, yeah. Um, um, Tanner Scott, that's somebody else the Orioles were talking about getting. He ended up going to the San Diego Padres. The
Let's take a
Orioles,
brief pause on that one. Tanner Scott, who after I looked it up, started off with the Orioles, and you all, went ahead and included him in a trade. And then as I was looking at the left-handed relievers that were available and that went today, Tanner Scott was the best option. You actually had him in-house. I know you probably felt the way about that, but I just wanted to make sure that you put the whole context out there, everything. All right, now you can continue. Go ahead.
yeah, Dante, yes, we had Tanner Scott. We traded Tanner Scott. About a week ago, Orioles played Miami, and Tanner Scott saved both of the wins for Miami. Shut the Orioles down completely in the ninth inning. As I've been saying to you and to Gary and the other people, the Orioles have struggles in many areas right now. Starting pitching and relief pitching, they don't have a closer. They picked up Greg Soto from the Philadelphia Phillies today. He's a left-hander. Record is not the best, but he is a left-hander. I think right now with closing, you're looking at maybe Soto, maybe Dominguez, maybe Cano. You're looking at it by committee. You also have Kayum coming back as well in September from elbow surgery. Kimbrell, who you've heard me talk about ad nauseum.
I was about to say, yeah, bad enough.
He went to the second game last night at a doubleheader, and in one inning, he gave up a walk, a hit, and a run. Not good. Not good at all. So I'd said seventh, maybe sixth inning. I just don't know right now. That's a problem. That's a problem. I just came crossing my phone. Cole Irvin was just designated for assignment. That means he's no longer with the Orioles.
Yep.
So he's gone. They also picked up a right-handed hitter today.
Yeah, that wasn't the guy from the White Sox.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he's oh boy, and good luck. I saw what he was hitting. It's probably lower than his weight. I think it was
Yeah.
it in the up? It's in the upper ones, right? I think it's like 180, maybe.
Well, I don't know if you're talking about him or you're talking about the guy from Philadelphia Phillies, Posh. Posh is hitting 179.
Okay, the other guy,
So,
maybe he's hitting the guy from the White Sox ain't hitting greats either. I looked at it when they made the trade. He's not
well,
hitting great.
and then the Orioles picked up a pitcher, a left-handed pitcher. He comes from the Marlins. His record is 2-9, but the last nine starts, he has an ERA about 3.17. Basically, what I'm saying is right now, Dante, is they did not mortgage their future. They did give away a couple of players. Kyle Stowers is gone, but you got a log jam in the outfield. Connor Norby is gone, but by him leaving, he was the number 12 prospect. It's very clear what the Orioles are saying. Jackson Holliday is the future. So he's going to be the second baseman. I don't know if it's going to be this season, but it will be next season. He will be definitely the second baseman. So you're taking these pieces. You pitched this kid last night, Cade Povich.
Hmm.
Didn't look good, had 5 walks. That's just not going to work when we got the Yankees breathing down your neck. So these moves, you got to see what's going to happen. They picked up
Hmm.
Zach Elfin
Hmm.
from the Tampa Bay Rays. He pitched great at the first game yesterday. 3 runs, 7 strikeouts. They won 10-3. He did a very good job. No walks. Very important. No walks. So,
Three runs aren't important.
well, they won 10-3. So the 3 runs did bother me because it was a 3-run home run. And 3-run
Oh,
home run also came right on an error by Gunnar Henderson, who's had 5 straight games of errors. Um, but he did very well, considering that,
yeah, Dodgers.
considering. Yeah, so I'm pleased with the first 3 pitches. It's going to be Elfin, it'll be Rodriguez, and it's going to be Corbin Burns who's pitching tonight. The problem's going to be This guy Rogers, who comes from the Marlins, can he fit in here? And
Hmm.
a fifth star, is it going to be Suarez or Kramer? Kramer's not done well these last few starts, and they got to get their bats going. They're hitting home runs, but they're not putting together runs for an inning. They're just relying on a tater, and that doesn't always work. So as you see, I'm not really happy right now. They got a long way to go. We just got to see how these other players are going to play. And they've made some moves, but
Yeah.
they did not mortgage the future. I know a lot of people wanted them to take Tarek Skubal from the Detroit Tigers. Yes, he is the absolute best and would have been great in Baltimore, look great in black and orange. Left-handed pitcher at Camden Yards would have been great. But to get him, you would have given him Jackson Holliday, Kobe Mayo, Basilio the catcher, and then two players out right now, maybe Cade Povich and another player.
Depending on
So,
how close you think you all are, my last question on this, depending on how close you think you are, do you feel like you should have kicked the tires and tried to make a move on Snell? Blake Snell still is the reigning, what was he, NL Cy Young winner from last year. Left-handed pitcher, like you've been saying, started off slow, has started to round into shape some towards the middle of this season, and it's gotten better. And I know that the thing is, it will literally be a rental because he could be a free agent next this coming winter. Do you think they maybe should have tried that one? I mean, based on what the current record is, you may not have had to give up everything. I mean, still name power there, but just generally speaking, do you think they should have tried that one? That was the one that I thought about when I saw that earlier, or just thought
well,
about.
and that's a great question, Dante. But you also know you and I had this discussion in spring, so you already know how I felt about Blake Snell. I wanted him. I just knew the price tag was high. I still want him. I wish they would have been able to get him. But the thing that Elias, the general manager, does not want to do, he wants to improve the team, but he does not want to mortgage the future. He wants this team to be competitive for a number of years, not just this year. I respect that. I understand it. It's just really hard to watch when you see this group of kids right now struggling the way they are.
Yeah, no, I can see. I see what you're saying. I guess the question is, how much longer do you continue to feel that way? Because you're already in the pennant race. You didn't win a playoff series last year, so clearly there is still room to grow. I don't think you didn't win a game last year, right? You didn't. They lost. They got swept, right? This is just
Yeah.
a literal question. I could not remember. I wasn't trying to be a jerk. Yeah, so there's clearly still room.
Why are you bringing back these memories?
I'm sure I have the situation right because I'm like, I get what you're saying, where it's like, oh yeah, we don't have to mortgage the future, but it is like at a certain point, just because of how good they are, do you try to tip the scale some and bet it a little bit to see, all right, can we get a big name in here? Because then the other issue becomes, I know you have new ownership. Maybe new ownership wants to spend. You never know. But the thing with Orioles has always been you don't make big splashes in free agency. So if you're not going to spend big, do you take the occasional swing like other smaller market teams have to do and make that trade to see if it works out and maybe you could figure it out and get some money to them later on. But do you have to take those swings and do you feel like, maybe how much longer can we be patient? Like you're saying, this year, maybe you do sit on your hands this year. If you're in the same position next year, do you want them to push the
I
button?
think I think a key thing for next year is one. I think they need to sign Corbin Burns. I think that's very key
Mm-hmm.
because everybody else is still in the contract. One good thing they did with these moves, um, Elfin has another year. He's under contract, so he'll be back with the Orioles. The
Mm-hmm.
kid Rogers has 2 more years, and Bradis may come back next season.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's the case, then you got Adin Rodriguez and Corbin Burns. You got five good pitchers right there. I think that'll be a good thing. I think in the off season, the Orioles also need to look at making some adjustments. You got some players now. As much as I love like a Ryan Mountcastle, I may make a move to move him because I got Kobe Mayo in the minor leagues. I'm gonna put him at first base. He's not as good as Mountcastle, but you got at some point you got to play this kid or you got to trade this kid. I'd rather trade Mountcastle. The one key piece that I'm still not ready to trade because I think he's unbelievable as a defensive player is Cedric Mullins.
Mm-hmm.
His offense is struggling. It is rough, but he is absolutely the best center fielder on that team and one of the best in the league on defense. He is so good. Colton Cowser can't get into center field. Colton Cowser is a very good center fielder, but he's not Cedric Mullins. but that's why you got log jams.
Hmm.
Santander at the end of the season is a free agent. Do you sign him? I probably would not, even though I would love to keep him. I let him go because I need to free up the outfield. And maybe next year I got Mullins, Colton Cowser, and Hurstad. That Kerstad. That's just what I'm looking at.
Okay. All right. I see that you have some type of plan here. My Nationals were just trying to be sellers. I think they only made a couple of trades. I'm okay with this. Doesn't have to be a big Nationals thing. We have not as much to look forward to. I want a full-on fire sale, but you don't have like enough players to probably have a fire sale. You found a couple good pieces.
I'll say you want to give me James Wood.
No, no, no. We don't sell good prospects. That's what we're looking forward to for next year. If you want to play for the win now, you can go ahead and send Holiday over to us. I mean, at a certain point, he'll be good at some point. I hope.
What are you giving me back? If I give you Jackson Howard, you give me James Wood?
No, 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 absolutely not. No, Jackson Holiday. No, 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 that's not happening. We'll just go ahead and I'll keep my guy. You keep yours. We like our LSU guys here. We're fine. I'll let you have Holiday. All right. So as we bring our plane in for a landing, I think the last topic that we just wanted to hit here, we have training camp has started. NFL is getting closer. I think we have the Hall of Fame game coming up. Is that this week?
That's
Hall of
this
Fame
week.
game is coming up this week, and Caleb Williams isn't playing. So, I mean, that takes half of the fun out of it. Now, if you're a Badger fan, he's going to be out there starting for the Bears. So, I mean, it's great to watch, right? But we do have, we have training camp going, Hall of Fame game going. We have a lot of players signing contracts, and none of them are Dak Prescott. I know that John Pitt feels my pain. We have no plan. I know he's a little bit more optimistic than me. Yeah, I've finally just given up. I usually just talk about the Cowboys because I like to make sure that I'm a level fan. I'm pretty down on them right now. We have I've never seen a team say we're going all in and make like no adjustments that really show you're all in to run. I mean, granted, the Cowboys have a solid roster. Make sure I get this right. The Cowboys have a solid roster. Skilled, the talent that they do have, yes, it's good. Yeah, they lost their defensive coordinator. That's a pretty big thing. So you're changing there. You lost your left tackle, which was your stalwart for the last 10 plus years. Yeah, that's a big change. Uh, you still have no presence in the interior on your defense. Linebacker, we're depending on Kendricks to, have a swim in the fountain of youth over 30. We still have a good quarterback who hasn't done anything for us in the playoffs, really. He's won a game, two games. But other than that, not too much. Receiver, CeeDee Lamb, one of the best in the game, in my opinion. But at the number two, you have Brandon Cooks, who he's not a bad receiver, but at this point in his career, he's not a number two, so he didn't address that. Running back, Zeke's back. Feed Zeke. Zeke's about the same age as me. I don't really know what else to say about that. This is just great. Other than that, we got Rico Dowdle back there, a little Deuce Vaughn, who's probably the same. No, he's not even the same height as me. I'm taller than Deuce Vaughn. Being short doesn't really have to hold you back, but I mean, yeah, we don't really
And
have.
guess what else you got back? Guess what else you got back?
I don't know what we got. Yeah, I'm overlooking
You
something.
got your head coach back.
Oh yeah, and we have a head coach who somehow didn't get fired after getting blown out in a game in which you were favored to win by double digits. Yeah, this is just great, and you lost to your old team. Yeah, oh boy, yeah, you made me so happy
But
there.
Jerry Jones says you're all in.
Jerry says we're all in. Jerry Jones, who talked up a running back so much that he hadn't drafted that he got taken from him before they even had the chance to do it. God, one of the best interviews they ever had, and then they lost the player who didn't even draft him. Yeah, this is great. I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of good movement going on here. Basically, I think the biggest and most exciting story technically is the Dak Prescott thing still, because at this point, I said the other day, if I'm Dak, I don't even sign a contract. Why? You know what Dak's going to get next offseason? Because he is the quarterback market next offseason. I wouldn't even sign. Why sign
He's
one?
he's going to set the market, and I don't know where he will end up. Maybe he comes back to Dallas, Dante. I don't know.
I'm not ruling out maybe he ends up in Dallas. It's just that Dallas doesn't look very like it. Dallas is doing everything in its power to make it seem highly unlikely. And my biggest issue with that is just look, there was a draft this year in which five guys were taken in the first round that were quarterbacks. all of them did not have first round QB talent, but at least you could have lied to yourself this year and said, okay, if we're going to kick the tires, trade that, get a one this year. To let that man walk and get nothing in return, and to just say either you're going to run it back with Trey Lance, which I don't even do the Trey Lance thing with people because I'm sorry, I haven't seen. Trey Lance has barely played even in college. The traits are clearly great, but all right, we haven't seen him put it together. What are you gonna sit here and lie to yourself and say you're getting Shadur next season? Okay, great. I've never seen a guy who compared himself to Tom Brady and Michael Vick and took more hits. That was his cross comparison. I'm not even trying to be mean to the kid. He's not even a bad player. I don't want to sound like that, but great. Quinn Ewers out of Texas. Okay, that's great. What else we got here? Yeah, there's not. I think there's a couple other guys that I'm forgetting about, which have the athletic traits but play for schools where I'm like, all right, great. I don't really care. So yeah, I don't really see much here. It's not much positivity. If you want to bring this to the Patriots, I heard Drake May stunk in the padded practices so far and threw like 3 picks, or didn't do good. I can't remember which player threw 3 picks. Maybe it was him, maybe it was somebody else, but I heard he hasn't done good either. So if it means anything to you, the Patriots are also going to struggle too. So there you go. Just so you feel universal pain here. At least the Cowboys, I think the Cowboys will actually stumble backwards into 10 wins probably, and then lose in the same way they always do. So great. Yeah.
You do realize that there's a possibility I may be coming back home and going back to the Commanders. That may be a possibility.
Okay. So Jay Daniels just he's wow. He's won you over already. Okay, great.
No, no, no. What's won me over is new ownership and a breath of fresh air.
Okay, got it, got it, got it. Okay, so finally the team stopped making like the front page on a weekly basis, and so it's like, oh, okay, we people can come home and feel a little more respect for them right now. You know what? Honestly, it is a nice story. I don't even hate them as much as I used to because, in all honesty, I'm like they're a pleasant story, and they haven't taken anything from me. The Eagles, I hate the Eagles, but I mainly hate the Eagles because they get it right and they know what they're doing. Like I envy competency at this point, and the Eagles are like the paragon of competency. They know when to cut the cord and say they gave up on something. They know how to move their money around. They know how to sign guys. They know how to draft well. I mean, you're still waiting on some of their Georgia guys to hit. I mean, they haven't done perfectly. They're still waiting on a couple of those guys, but the track record. Gosh, I love competency so much, and yeah, Cowboys just don't really show that right now. I didn't mean for this to be so dour. I haven't got a chance to really express how I'm just really unhappy about just about everything they've done, honestly.
Well, Dante, that's what the Daily Deuce is here for. Here for you. We are here for you. And keep in mind, you got to come back in August, and you got part of the NFC report. You're doing the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, you're right. And yeah, the sad part is I can't even sit here and act like they'll be horrible because in my mind, they don't have enough. They have too much talent to be horrible. And there is nothing worse to be in the NFL than a middling team. Because the NFL literally rewards mediocrity with high draft picks. You know how bad it is to win 7 or 8 games and you're not getting good players? Well, you can still get good players, not to get that wrong, but there's not even a lottery system. It literally pays to be bad. Gosh, at least like the Wizards, I mean, it's like, just if you switch in sports, the Wizards can be bad, but there's still a chance they may not get a good pick. For the Cowboys, it's like they could be bad and get a good pick, but they don't want to be. And oh gosh, this is just horrible. It's like, oh yeah, we're all in this year. All in on what? Like we still
Hey,
have these
hey
stats.
Dante. Hey, Dante.
Go ahead.
Take us home.
Yeah, you know what? Thank you for joining us for the Daily Deuce today. I mean, in all honesty, he'll be doing the same thing at the end of the year. When I'm starting to feel pretty decent about the Cowboys when they start off like 3-0, he'll be feeling bad about the Orioles because they blew a playoff series. I know you, so it's gonna go both ways eventually. It's gonna come back here. Actually, you weren't happy in the previous segment. You didn't really like it. You had to talk yourself into these moves and say they're a bunch of maybes. So we're even. But thank you for joining us today for the Daily Deuce. This has been a lovely therapy session, and we hope you've enjoyed it just as much as we have.
Hey, thank you for joining us, Dante, as always. Love you and great to have you here as a guest host, man. Ain't nothing better than doing it with your son. Love you to death. You all take care. We'll see you again real soon.
See ya.